You can use this guide to initiate a third-party wire payment funded from an SVB multi-currency account, or MCA, or an eligible in-country foreign currency account, or FCA. The instructions will guide you through initiating a one-time or free-form wire with the option to save it as a template for future use, if you're entitled. You can also create a template directly through the Create Template option of the Manage Templates menu, entering information as indicated here, and then use it to initiate template-based wires. It's important to note that wire requests won't be sent to SVB for processing until all the required approvals established by your SVB Online Wire Administrator have been received. Wire payment instructions with a same-day processing date must be fully approved and received by 1 p.m. Pacific Time to be processed that day. Before you begin, you'll need to make sure you have the necessary information for the payment. This includes the complete name and address of the beneficiary, which is the party receiving the funds, the bank routing information specific to the receiving country, and any optional remittance information you want to include. For additional information, please refer to the Foreign Country Rules. The processing date is the date the wire instructions will be sent out by Silicon Valley Bank. If the wire is initiated and approved before the 1 p.m. cutoff time, it will be processed the same day. If completed after the cutoff time, the wire instructions will be sent out the next business day. Payments where the beneficiary currency is the same as that held in your foreign account have a value date of the next business day. The value date of a cross-currency payment varies based upon the country, but are generally 1 to 2 business days after the SVB processing date. You can contact the SVB Foreign Exchange Trade Desk for questions regarding settlement times associated with specific countries. You can future date a payment up to 60 calendar days. To enter wire payment instructions, select Initiate Single Wire from the Payments and Transfers menu via SVB Online Banking. The Initiate a Single Outgoing Wire screen will appear and you can make your selections. The options to select a format and wire types are based upon your wire entitlements. If not already selected, you can select the Freeform format, then select the wire type, Freeform Wire from a foreign currency account. From the drop-down list, select the country where the beneficiary's bank is located. Next, click Continue, and the Wire Instructions screen will appear. To enter the transaction details, first select the MCA FCA foreign currency debit account to fund the wire. Then enter the processing date, which is the date SVB will process the wire, or click the calendar icon to make a selection. Available accounts will be based upon your entitlements. Remember to allow 1 to 2 days, depending upon the country, prior to the payment's value date. The processing date will default to the current day, or if posted after the cutoff, the next bank business date. To ensure that the funds are sent in the appropriate currency, select a currency from Beneficiary Account Currency. Then enter the transaction amount. Transaction amounts can be entered in the currency of either the sending, debiting account, or the receiving, credit account, and with or without commas or a decimal. Next, indicate the party paying for the international wire fees. If you're paying the intermediary bank fees, select Hour. Otherwise, keep the default set to Share. Enter the beneficiary account. Please refer to Foreign Country Rules for additional required information. Be sure to omit spaces and symbols when entering. Next, enter the beneficiary name. It must be entered in its entirety. If the name is longer than 35 characters, enter the remainder in the first address line and the actual address in lines 2 and 3. Next, enter the beneficiary address. At least 2 address lines should be entered. Next, enter the beneficiary bank details using either one of 2 methods. You can either search for your bank by choosing the Search for Your Beneficiary's Bank link, or you can manually enter the bank information. If you choose to search for your beneficiary's bank, you have the ability to select a bank by name or routing number BIC SWIFT code. Your options will automatically appear. Or to manually enter bank information, select the radio button to activate the entry fields, and then enter your information. Be sure to provide the correct bank name, bank city, state, and country, and SWIFT BIC code. Banks domiciled outside of the U.S. use an 8 or 11 alphanumeric character bank identifier code, or SWIFT BIC, for routing purposes. Next, enter the originator to beneficiary instructions. You can enter the invoice and/or other information to further identify the payment to the beneficiary. Do not use any special characters in these fields. In the bank-to-bank instructions field, enter the information required by the receiving country. Unless country-specific requirements apply, these fields should be left blank. Intermediary bank instructions are not mandatory, but depending on the country and/or currency, may or may not be required. Please verify your entire wire instructions with your beneficiary prior to initiating your wire. Click Continue when you're finished entering your instructions. You'll be advised of any invalid entries. After your entries have been confirmed, the verification screen will appear and you can click Submit. If changes are needed, click Change to return to the wire entry screen, but be sure that you do not use your browser back button or your session may time out. When you're ready to submit the wire, click the Send to Approver button, which will appear if this wire requires approval before being sent to SVB for processing. If a wire requires approval before it can be sent to SVB for processing, users authorized to approve them will be notified of the wires pending their approval through an SVB online banking bulletin displayed upon login and, if enabled, an optional email notification. They must then log into SVB online banking and approve the wire before your wires can be processed by SVB. The confirmation screen will appear with the status of your submitted instructions. Click the printer icon at either top or bottom of the screen to send this confirmation page to your printer. If no approvals are required, the Submit button will appear. Click Submit and the wire will be submitted to SVB for processing. If you have template creation entitlements for the debit account, you'll have the option to save the instructions for future use. To save the instructions as a template, enter a unique template code in the field provided and then select Save as Template. You'll receive confirmation of your saved template and the number of approvals required before it can be used for wire initiation. Click New Wire to enter instructions for another wire payment. Otherwise, select your next service or function from the SVB online banking menu. If your wire is pending approval, you can track its status by performing an outgoing wire inquiry. First, select Outgoing Wire Inquiry from the Wires menu. Then enter the search criteria, either the transaction ID or other criteria, such as processing date, debit account, and amount. To confirmation of your wire's execution after it's processed by Silicon Valley Bank, you can view its confirmation in the SVB Online Banking Account Reporting module. Select Transaction Details from the Accounts tab. Enter your specific search criteria, including the date range of this transaction and the specific funding account. Then choose Outgoing Wires as the transaction group for your search. Your results will include any executed wires matching the requested search criteria. You must have Account Reporting Entitlement for the debit account in order to view the wire.